Welcome to UO Today. I'm Barbara Altman, Director of the Oregon Humanities Center. Our guest today is Woody Tasch, founder and chairman of the Slow Money Alliance. Tasch pioneered the integration of asset management and philanthropic purpose in the 1990s as treasurer of the Jesse Smith Noyes Foundation and founding chairman of the Community Development Venture Capital Alliance. From 1998 to 2008, Tasch was chairman of Investors Circle, a network of more than 200 investors and foundations using private capital to promote the transition to a sustainable economy. Tasch is the author of Inquiries into the Nature of Slow Money, Investing as if Food, Farms, and Fertility Mattered, from 2009. He gave a lecture with the same title as a guest of the Wayne Moore Center for Law and Politics on February 19, 2013. Woody, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
We're glad to get you as you swing down the West Coast on the same day as you give your lecture. I want to start with the very basics and just ask you about the term slow money. It's an analogy with slow food, right?
It is, but when you put the word money together with the word slow, it does broaden the conversation considerably from food to the whole question of finance and the economics and globalization. And but the inspiration was very much originally from visiting Italy in 2000 and meeting the slow food movement was founded in Italy when McDonald's opened in Rome, and there was a little kerfuffle.
In the mid-1980s, right?
It was, I believe it was 89, the official, that's the way the historians described the beginning of slow food. But now here we are, however many years later, with something like 100,000 people around the world as members of slow food in 150 countries. I mean, it's really quite intriguing. It's not really, it hasn't really come to full bloom in the United States, being the capital of fast food. That's kind of understandable. But internationally, slow food's very interesting. It's about biodiversity and food tradition and culture and pleasures of the hearth, I guess you could say, and artisan food traditions. Anyhow, when you put that, when you try to drag those values into the finance world, it gets a little interesting. I've thought often that when slow food started, everybody knew what fast food was. It was a response to fast food, right? But when we started slow money, no one was really talking about fast money. But pretty soon, because it was 2008, 2009, pretty soon that discussion caught up with us, and now we're trying to keep that conversation going.
The timing was, of course, well, I don't know if it was coincidental or not, but
it was fate.
It was fate, and fate launched you right into the middle of an economic crisis. Did that promote the notion of slow money because people were more aware of what would happen when money moves too fast?
I think we have to say yes, and it's hard to know. We're still too early in the whole process to know how that's all playing out, because when people get into a crisis, they often become more conservative than they were before. They kind of hunker down. They don't necessarily go, hey, how about a new idea to get us out of the crisis? On the other hand, it does feel to me as I go around the country talking that there's a much more open, I'm able to say these things in public and, A, not get ridiculed, and B, actually engage in a real conversation with people. And I think that's easier now than it would have been 5 years ago.
Now, I've heard you use the term, or to say that you're looking for the appropriate velocity for money. It's a great phrase. What is the appropriate velocity for money?
I wish I had, I debated whether to bring my book with me when I came out of the hotel. And the reason I'm saying that, I've joked frequently that the best paragraph in the book is written by David Orr, who's an eminent teacher, thinker in the whole area of ecological design and environmental issues and whatnot. And there's a quote from David about the appropriate velocity for money, water, and information. It's in one paragraph, and even if you don't know what the paragraph is, if you just think, what could that mean? Water, we kind of get. Too much water, you have erosion, you have a flood, you want water to percolate through the soil. You can kind of wrap your head around an appropriate velocity for water. But information and money are not things that we are used to thinking about that they could ever be too fast, right? There's no such thing as too much information or too much money or too fast. But I wish I had the paragraph here, because he ends by talking about befuddlement, that when things are going too fast, we get befuddled. And I think that's true of money and of information.
Now, you didn't just pick the term slow money to correspond with slow food at random. Your idea of slow money is very much tied to the production of food.
It is. If we have a day-long workshop, some point during the afternoon, someone will say, how come you're just talking about food? The same idea should apply to other sectors of the economy. And the answer is, yeah, of course. For us, as an NGO and as a network of people we are focused on food and the soil for a whole bunch of reasons, both, let's say, philosophical and strategic. And I could go on for too long on both of those, but I would just say, from a strategic standpoint, I think you could say that food is a really powerful way to get people to work together in a new way, because it's visceral. It's something we eat all the time. There's a tangible benefit to eating certain kinds of food. Once you get people thinking about where the food comes from, you can't get people to think about carbon in the atmosphere the same way. And it's both liberal and conservative. You say, do you want more farmers in your community? I don't know too many places that say, no, we don't. There are other issues that come in once you get into how do you keep them and how do you promote a new generation of farmers and what about organics and all the rest. But still, most people, broad awareness, you want more farmers or less farmers? Most people say we want more farmers. So it's a really good cross-cutting issue to get people engaged in trying to figure out what's really going on in their community and how to fix it. And then from the philosophical standpoint, the whole issue of soil fertility, I don't really know how I stumbled on it exactly. I mean, I've been involved in some sustainable agriculture and organic agriculture funding for a long time. But once I got focused on the soil part, I realized, what's more fundamental than that? And again, if you say to people, do you want there to be more fertile soil 50 years from now or not? No one will say, we don't care. Mostly they'll say, I never really thought about that. And it's about as fundamental as you can get.